Hello and welcome to the Ant-Man channel today. It is a special Saturday report that I'm gonna do, and it is um right Saturday, the 20th of December 2014. These last days of the year. Wish you a happy or a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year for all of you guys out there that are gonna be celebrating that. And so yeah, let me get into this report here. It's written by Dave Daubenmire on December 19th, which was yesterday. He published this. Time has come. Christian Values Party. Interesting. Before I go into this, I just thought, I was just thinking about this kind of thing too. I was hearing Josh Tolley talk about how we need to create another party now. Uh, you know how you could run if you want independent, Republican, Democrat, but like he's calling for a whole new uh, category, if you will, I guess. And I don't think that's a bad idea at all. I think it's time for us to say time out. These people don't represent us, and we need to set it down like kind of like if you will, an orthodox type of way to be all of us united on our beliefs. Because I see too many Christians out there kind of saying that we don't, what I mean, need to be vigilant on the homosexuality issue, for example. It's issues like that that have to come to the light right now. They have to come to the forefront, and we have to shed light on it and be like, no, that's actually, what I mean, a falsehood. That's a lie. That's not according to what we believe in, and we do have to kind of reform and be different, come out from everyone else and be different, and actually apply what we're supposed to know and follow. And that's not hard. People have done it in the past. We just need to do it. And it's I think that there's a mindset out there that's like that. It's like it's too no. You know what I mean? Like when you think of everything going the way it's supposed to go, it's like no. It's almost like that. It's that doubt that comes from within that overwhelms you. I guess some people that make it like, well, since it seems impossible, I'll never try. And you always have to put one foot in front of the other when you walk, and it always takes time to get where you're trying to go. So that's exactly what that, you know what I mean, to paint a cheap analogy, I guess, but that's what it is. It's just you have to learn how to take those first steps, and then when you take those first steps, you see that you start to actually, man, I mean, it's just, man, we have a culture, man, I'm telling you, that's just absolutely so it thinks of our existence as nothing, and like as our lives have no purpose and all that, and it's just kind of like, man, and if you try to shake someone out of it, you could see if somebody's under mind control, because if they don't like to be shaken out of their coma, if you will, it's like, man, you could see that that's a byproduct, and that's an effect of being under mind control. And I think that there is a culture of people being under mind control. Sounds like something out of a science fiction movie, but it's actually something that, if you observe, man, and with all the stuff going on in the media, you know that. I mean, for example, and I may be still on the same topic as this issue though, but real quick, with the whole, was it Paramount pulling the interview? Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't go to the movies a lot, but what's this? Whatever company it was, whatever studio it was, they pulled the interview because it there's a scene where they assassinate the dictator in China, I guess, and so they pulled it because of that. And then Obama comes out and kind of condemns it. He says, you made us look weak in the face of opposition, and then they come out and say, well, we had no choice. Well, it's like, I don't think, I mean, when it's like, wait, time out. You're acting as if, like, the president's acting as if that Hollywood and all this works independently from the government, like as if they're not working together. It's like, I guess some people really do. They can't really figure it out, I guess. But to me, it's just like they're putting on a facade for people who are still under their mind control, under their little. They're still, like, you know what I mean, believing their little word games that they play and all this, and it's unbelievable. It really is unbelievable how thick the programming is in the culture with the lies and with the deception. And it's just, I'm just saying, separate issue, I guess, but sometimes, man, you could see that some people have, you could see the symptoms of mind control, and it's, Stockholm syndrome, to not want to be woken up, to believe that these people are your defenders. It's not true. We need to learn how to empower ourselves to be able to run our own lives and be our own leaders, and cultivate these family values that came up in the old America, in our homes and in our communities. And then we can go back to, we need to stop letting the government run everything. We need to learn how to run everything ourselves. It's probably not what everybody is used to. We've been kind of like domesticated with the way the culture is today, but we could go in that direction. And like I said, it takes one step at a time to go in the right direction. So with that said, welcome to the Ant-Man channel. That's what I talk about. That's what I talk about. How you're gonna get back on track in this country. Most Americans don't have $500 to their name. So many of us are unemployed. There's issues here that we have to settle with. We have to talk about it, and I'm more than happy to do that, to talk about these things. That I've studied economics. I've studied our American and Western heritage. I know the Constitution front and back. I've even put it up against God's law, and it doesn't even hold a match up to God's law, but it's the best we can do. You know what I mean? The Constitution of the United States is the best thing that us humans can do, and still, I mean, look how flawed it is. Look at where we've come because of it. It's really amazing, because liberals and progressives will try to redefine words and try to propagandize our everything, and it's just, you know what I mean? We gotta all kind of go back and read a dictionary once in a while and know that words have fixed meanings, and that you can't just believe people because they arrogantly, and boastfully say things. That's the way of the progressive liberal or atheist. It's the bully people intellectually mentality, and that in and of itself is like a mental illness, in my opinion, because you can't just win arguments by insulting people. Let's be intelligent. If you like to be intelligent, then you can argue something. You don't have to, what I would say, an ad hominem is a very weak thing to do. When you're losing an argument, the only thing you can do is either laugh or insult somebody, and that's just really a sign of waving the white flag and saying you've given up. So anyways, like so many others, I have been warning for quite some time that the Republican Party is a fraud. I began to see through the facade about a dozen years ago. The whole the Democrat-Republican Hegelian dialectic, the whole paradigm is a gigantic, it's a scam is what it is, because they're selling you this two-party, they're going against each other like WWE style, but if you understand the way our system works, it's not supposed to work like that. So why are they feeding you this one side versus the other garbage? Because it doesn't. That's not really how this works, and it just shows how the general public doesn't even understand how its own system works. That probably doesn't even know what three branches of government means, or how separation of powers is even something that changes our country from so many others, and it makes us who we are. And then we buy into this whole Republican Democrat scheme, and all these votes. When we go and vote, this has everything to do with voting. I think that voting is like the main issue of why all of this goes on and why all this happens, because people want your votes, and they'll do anything. The ends justify the means with the evil one, and he will do anything it takes to get your vote. And oh yeah, he'll lie to you. So the American political world is a two-card mont. The Hegelian dialectic calls it the thesis-antithesis. In a nutshell, the Hegelian dialectic is a process whereby the ends are played against the middle. It is like the teeter-totter you played on as a kid. Weight on one end makes the opposite end rise. The goal is to get the board balanced, which can only be accomplished by adding and removing weight from the ends of the board. This is the way the American political system works. Democrats, liberals are the counterweight to Republicans, conservatives. The constant teetering gives the impression of movement, but the status quo rarely changes. This has never been more evident than what has occurred in Congress since Obama has handed his hat in the midterm elections. Except nothing has really changed. The teeter has tottered to Republican control of the Congress, yet the policies that Obama has pushed forward still remain in place. The two-party system was designed to be easily controlled. Money is in charge in Washington. Both the Republicans and the Democrats' wheels have been greased, ensuing smooth operation of the whole contrived charade. So here is a quote from Mayor Rothschild. "Give me control of a nation's money, and I care not who makes the laws." There you go. I mean, if you don't even know that the most elite of the elite write these kind of things in their memoirs, that they treat you like their food, and they write about this stuff in their autobiographies. It's really amazing, and it's out there. You can go buy that at a bookstore. You can go read that about how there are people who live in these elite lifestyles that are so super rich, that run everything, and they write about how they want to, euthanize all of us. It's really amazing. Politics is nothing more than manipulation. The more things change, the more they remain the same. Now, they are talking about a tussle between Bush Clinton in 2016. Has it ever dawned on you that there are royal families in Washington? Bush, Clinton replaced the Kennedys, who replaced the Roosevelts, who are controlled by the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Chases, and the rest of the ruling elite. Folks, please understand that the central banks rule America. The good old US of A is in default to the Federal Reserve. No matter which party is in control, things will not change because the banksters control both parties. Hello. Voting has become futile. Boehner and McConnell are owned by the same folks that own Pelosi and Reid. The elections are merely a teeter-totter where the balance of powers moves from one end to the other. The CFR, Council on Foreign Relations, Bilderbergers, and the NWO are real. We don't want to believe that, because accepting that brings with it a sense of futility and despair. Republicans and Democrats are the counterbalance that gives the appearance of self-government. After all, we get to vote, don't we? Joseph Stalin, this is a quote from Joseph Stalin, "It doesn't matter who votes, it matters who counts the votes." There is election fraud for sure, you guys. It's not a secret. There have been voting machines caught changing Republican votes to Democrat votes. There have been, and even that in and of itself is weird, right? We have voting machines. What is that? What happened to ballots and stuff? Well, the computers and the robots are coming, and that's another topic. I spoke to a gathering of Tea Party leaders recently, and I told them that they must break away from the Republican Party. The two-party system is essential to the enslavement of we the people. The Tea Party will not be able to take control of the Republican Party, and Christians must do the same while realizing that they aren't leaving the Republican Party. The Republican Party left them. Amen to that. Thank you, Republican Party. You don't represent us at all. Us Christians represent we're representatives of Christ, and if we're going to do that, we have to build off of that. We can't be like we're Republicans first and we're politicians first and then Christians second. It doesn't work like that. And even if you're in politics and you're a Christian, it doesn't work like that. You know what I mean? You got to always maintain your integrity. You know what I mean? No matter who you are, and you got to realize also that you got an enemy, and his name is Satan, and he kind of runs this whole thing. So you're kind of going up against someone. Talk about going after the dragon, or going after an epic enemy, I guess. But that's who you're up against if you're in these ordeals, and if you don't feel like there's spiritual battles going on against you, then that's not good. That's the sign of a Christian. If you're going through battles in your life, if you're going through these spiritual battles all the time, and yeah, man, I don't talk about it a lot, but my friend Brenton Sawen does. You could check out his channel, and he's interviewed me before on his channel. But evil spirits are real, and psychiatrists can talk about how it's sleep paralysis, or they can say a number of things that are mentally wrong with you, but the fact of the matter is you can't explain the supernatural away. It's really there. There are real spirits, and I don't mean to scare nobody, but that's the truth. I'm used to it. I know how I sound, but it's true. I'm used to it. I've gotten so used to attacks from the enemy on my mind and in my heart, and him even, you know what I mean? Uh, just since I was little, man. And it's really something I used to talk about it more in my older videos, but I don't really talk about spirits and stuff like that mainly here. I talk about practical, everyday type of issues, you know what I mean, that we need to work on as a whole in this country, We are the body of Christ. When one of us is injured, the rest of us feel, you know what I mean, like the body, how like, we could talk about, how that relates, but you know what I'm talking about. So let's get on with this. The Tea Party will not be able to control. There you go. They left us. I love the Tea Party and the patriotic Americans that work to restore America to its foundational roots. They have truly made a difference in the past 5 years, but the Tea Party brand is dead. The Republicans and the Democrats, along with the media, have teamed up to do everything they can to tarnish their image. Both parties hate the Tea Party. That alone should tell us something. Well, the people who are like the progressives and the liberals, I think, are trying to like ruin our credibility as a superpower in this country or in this world. And the Paramount, the Interview movie is a good example of that. That whole facade that's going on there. And when Obama said that he wanted to fundamentally change America, he wasn't kidding. What he meant by that is he wants to change our, the fact that Jerusalem and Greece are our parents. He wants to have Marx and communism be our parents. And he wants us to go back to that socialist mentality of us being just worker ants. And he's subconsciously programming people to be that way. You don't think the government is in bed with Hollywood and all these media outlets and they're not trying to make us that way on purpose? It's happened before, and if you know history, you can deal with it. But if you get scared and you back up, it's not going to go away. You can hide under your bed, but the boogeyman might look there too after he's done looking everywhere else. I don't know how to say it better, but you know what I'm saying. Unfortunately, the Tea Party does not have a common vision. They love to rally around the term liberty, but that is not a strong enough bond. Liberty can mean different things to different people. That is why the Tea Party has such a broad spectrum of beliefs. The libertarian streak that runs through the party is the poison pill that prevents greater victories. To one person, liberty means the right to be free from government regulations and edicts, the right to carry a gun, and the freedom to worship God as one pleases. But to others, liberty means the right to abort a baby, the right to marry the same sex, the right to use drugs, and the removal of the Christian God, and the standard of all morality. Yeah, that's a good point. Like, we're not allowed to pray to God in public or read the Bible, but all these other religions now are starting to be like openly accepted, and everybody has to be tolerant and kiss Islam's butt. But that's not what we should do. We should learn that people who have religious motives should be considered either a threat or a help to this country. And when you think about what they believe in, well, there's different sects. That's a whole different. If you want to go to someone who will educate you on that, go to a Syrian girl partisan. She'll educate you on the Sunnis and the Shiites and the difference between their radicalization of their religion and where that comes from, and that has ties into Jesuit priests, and I'm not kidding. And also the Japanese kamikaze. You'd be surprised. But anyway. Most Christians do not want to be part of a liberty movement where marriage and life are not sacred values. Without the Bible, what standard of right and wrong will America adopt? From the foundation of this land, God was the decider of what is right and wrong. The Constitution is non-religious, but it is built upon the foundation of biblical standards. Duh! Where do you think we got all the ideas that we wrote the Constitution with? It was the 10 Commandments in the Bible. It's true. We're not getting these ideas out of a hat like a magic trick or something. You know what I mean? It's these are values that have been tried, tested, and proved throughout history, and we adopted them from our parents, namely the Hebrews. So, but nowadays the secular culture wants to do what thou wilt, and just the ends justify the means. A man isn't, that old term of a man is worth, you know what I mean? Well, all a man is what his word's worth, or something like that. Pretty much just saying that your word is who you are, and like if you're not a man of integrity, you're not a truthful person. You'll say whatever it takes to get something, and then be an openly unashamed liar, and you get your way that way. Like back in the day, your word used to be everything about you, and nowadays it's like you could just lie to people to their face and play politics, and It's all like this like sick culture that we live in. I see it. It's sick. It's really sick. But anyway, the da 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 da. Muslims are welcomed here, or they are welcome here, but should the value they hold supersede or replace our nation's traditional values? Do their religious beliefs trump the laws of America? Does the Constitution give them the right to perform honor killings of their children? Of course not. Our laws are based upon the Bible. The Bible teaches that murder is wrong. Well, you don't need to read the Bible to know that either. I think if you murdered someone, you should feel bad. I think if you just go fishing and catch a fish and eat the fish, you'll feel bad. And that's normal. That's normal. That's what you're supposed to feel for life, because death is not a thing that God created. Death came into the world because of sin, and that is to us like it confuses us. Like why people die out of nowhere. That kind of stuff makes us like, you know what I mean? And the only way to understand that is to understand the origins of life. Life was made perfect in the beginning, but we kind of screwed it up, if you will, and now there is death. So you have to deal with that. You know what I mean? Murder is wrong, and we don't have to read the Bible to understand that. We feel it intrinsically, like God said that He'll put His law on our heart. Your conscience bears witness to the fact that you're made in the image of God and you're moral. And that's what makes you different than animals, atheists. You know the difference between right, and that's not called altruism. What is that? Some mystical magic word for why you feel that inner need, inner compassion for life? That's just called being a human being made in the image of God, being loving like your Creator. If we want to save this nation, we must engage in the political debate with unashamed Christian values. We have nothing to apologize, Christian. We might know apologetics, but we don't apologize for what we believe in. The Republicans mouth the values, but they don't truly believe in them. Do John Boehner, Mitch McConnell, and the Republican leadership amplify and codify into law biblical values? Of course not. Why do we elect Republicans to be the standard bearers of Christian beliefs? Why don't we start electing openly Christian officials who will unashamedly fight for Christian values? That they don't want to have that in the politics. They don't want to have real Christians in politics. They won't even give you a platform to speak on. You see, the creationist and the Christian through the media is put out there to be looked like he's crazy and like he's stupid. So they're not going to allow that in politics either, because it might give us too much credibility in the eyes of the general public, and that's not something they want. So we do have to unite and make our own party, because we can't be represented. We can't be represented by these two labels of Democrat and Republican. It doesn't work. No, Richard Dawkins, there's no such thing as a secular Christian, and for anyone that's on the right, religious right, I'll tell you that we don't compromise what we believe in for political gain. It's not that way. We store our treasure in heaven. Politician that claims to be a Christian, we don't do that. We don't we maintain our integrity always. We don't worry about the things of civilians. We're good soldiers for the Lord, always doing His will, right? We're always looking for the will of the Lord, to seek and be guided by His Spirit, right? So, yeah, I mean, it's easy when you're a Christian to see if someone is really being, you know what I mean? If someone's really who they are saying and proclaiming and professing to be. And that's just something that we would want to be careful of, because in the Bible it says that there's people that come into the church to try to deceive and lead astray people. So we need to be vigilant, Christians. It's not about just having these big like youth rallies and all these youth conventions. That's nice, and I enjoy those things too. But you know what I mean? We're also to be the salt of the world. We're not just the light, but we're the salt. And salt irritates people sometimes, because it kind of throws off the I don't want to say harmony, because it's not harmony. It's a false peace that people have, and a false type of, I don't know. We gotta shine light and be salt. You know what I mean? I hope that helped. But anyway, who speaks for you, Mr. Christian? Who puts the gospel at the top of their platform, Mrs. Christian? Karl Rove, Chris Christie, Jeb Bush? Why do we expect them to support principles they themselves do not believe in? To the Republicans, Christians are nothing more than a voting bloc, or should I say, stumbling block. A strong Christian values party with unashamed Christian leaders would draw from many different constituencies. Blacks are Christians, whites are Christians, the young are Christians, the elderly are Christians. We must help them realize that only Christ and His precepts can ultimately bring true liberty. A nation cannot survive without a clear standard of right and wrong. I know many cradle Democrats who will never vote Republican. Heck, I don't even vote Republican, but the false labels of liberal, conservative, and Republican Democrat divide Christians and diffuse the power. The ballot box ends up keeping us all bound in slavery. Pastors could lead the charge. It would help them because they would not be forced to take sides during the political season. They could proudly tell their flocks that they vote for the Christian party. It is time to stop worrying about who is president. Let's begin to focus on who represents us in Congress. How many actual Christians are there in Congress today? What would it look like if the House of Representatives was 145 Democrats, 145 Republicans, and 145 Christians? What if the Senate was 33 Democrats, 34 Republicans, and 33 Christians? Jesus told us to come out from among them and be ye separate. Let's stop letting the Republicans speak for the body of Christ. Amen. The Tea Party has shown that grassroots activism can work, but the impact will be diminished if we cast our lot with the leadership of McConnell, Boner, and their ilk. The Christian Party will force the rhinos to compromise with us. It is time for the Tea Party to stop catering to the libertarians. Let's put Jesus and his values at the top of the ticket and unashamedly stand for the God we claim to serve. Remember, people, who gave us this land, man. I mean, this is almost like a picture of Israel where we live, and I think it's a tremendously stubborn, childish, ungrateful thing to do, to forget what made this country great. You can't just reinvent. I mean, we know this through history that we cannot do that because we know what works and we know what doesn't. So we know that there is a gigantic brainwash in this country that makes people hate God. The media is made to make you hate God, straight up, dude. I mean, what do you see good on the television that makes you think good things, man? It's all adultery, murder, and all this other stuff, and it's always using God's name as a curse word. These things are made by the devil to make people straight up, man, just hate the values that made this country great. There's an enemy from within this country. Who that is, you need to make up for your own mind, but I know who it is. Let's see. It is time for the Tea Party to stop catering. Okay, it's my people. Oh yeah, we just read that. Would Jesus put his trust in the Republican Party? No. Then why should Christians? If my people which are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. You hear that, America? I like Joseph Prince as much as anyone else, but he's wrong. He said that people who say that that there's judgment on America coming is wrong. No, Joseph Prince, you're wrong. And I mean that out of respect and love, man, because you're wrong. I'm just saying that out of truthfulness. You're wrong. And we do need a change in this country, and that's a good thing. That's a challenge that we need to take upon ourselves to rise to the occasion and be who God made us to be. So I hope you were blessed by this report, and remember, pursue truth and defend liberty. God bless.